Awesome. Well, transitioning from, say, your standard clinical herb school over to your interest in smoking herbs, I'm kind of curious how that transition happened, and then kind of how that evolved into, say, Puff Herbals, the business.
Yeah. So I first really started, the first time I ever smoked anything, it was cannabis. And it was a week before I left to go to college at Ithaca College. And I asked my friends if they would smoke with me so that I would know what it's like, so that I wasn't just like this square showing up at college and like never having like done anything, you know? So that was the first time, and, you know, really took to it and was, you know, what you could call like a stoner or pothead in Ithaca and in undergrad. Yeah, and I graduated from Ithaca in 2010 and then enrolled in herb school in 2014. And it was the second year of school, I believe. We were talking about a client who was struggling with quitting smoking. And we started talking about other herbs that you could smoke. And, you know, you can roll other herbs in with the tobacco and, you know, kind of slowly decrease how much tobacco you're putting in. And also you can formulate specific herbs into the mix depending on the person. Yeah. And that honestly just like really blew my mind. And it had never even occurred to me until that point that like, oh, all these herbs, not all of them, but a lot of the herbs that we're learning about are also smokable. And their effects can also be felt when smoked. And that was just like this light bulb, you know, not even like, oh, I could turn this into a business, but just like for myself, like, wow, this is amazing. And so I just started experimenting on my own at home and just really, really took to it. And also in school during the third year, we had to, you know, it was like clinical rotation year, but also kind of business prep year, you know, like how do you want to be an herbalist in the world? And we had to make like 1, 3, and 5 year kind of goals or aspirations. And I had 2 versions, and one of them was going down the more clinical route. And one of them was starting a products-based business. And I just wrote down that it had to be niche, like some niche product. And I remember I wrote, you know, either something with gummies or some kind of like edible or smoking blends. And it's funny to say like gummies now because gummies are like literally everywhere. Yeah, totally. But back then, you know, I didn't know, or at least I didn't see them around as much. Yeah. And let's see, the third year of school, Katya and Rin they were a big sponsor of Herb Stock in Somerville.
I've been to that event.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, we have an extra long table this year, kind of like a corner front table at the Armory. And they said, do any of you guys want to sell products there? Because we don't need all the space. And so me and a friend, we were like, should we do like smoking blends and pre-rolls? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And we only had like 4 days to prepare, or at least we waited until like 4 days before to start preparing. And bought like a couple of litum handheld cigarette injector machines. Like we had one each, and we just started like making as many as we could and getting just some type of website up. You know, it was just kind of like, here's who we are and like what we're about. You know, we couldn't buy anything on it or anything. And we called ourselves Sterling Smokes because we were also roommates and we lived on Sterling Street in Somerville. And got like some business cards made like super, super quick and just showed up. And, you know, our names weren't on the bill or anything. I'm not even sure if like Steph, the organizer, knew that we were going to be part of the table. I think Kai and Rin must have told her. Yeah. But yeah, we just showed up with like boxes of loose cigarettes, no packaging. And we were just selling them for 50 cents a smoke. Wow. And yeah, there was just like a line out the door, like almost like the whole time. Wow. And it was crazy. Yeah. And I really liked it because it was kind of like this bridging of like clinical work and also like product kind of behind the scenes stuff, which I really like. People would come up and we would have, even back then we had like we called it a proprietary blend. And then we had a mint and a sleep. So it was just like Sterling Smoke Mint, Sterling Smoke Sleep, and then just like Sterling Smokes nothing. And people would come up and be like, which one should I choose? And so it'd be like, well, do you currently smoke anything? And why do you smoke that? And it was this interesting mix of people that like smoke tobacco. They'd be like regular tobacco smokers, or someone would be like, I just smoke one after work or like at night, or, oh, I smoke only when I drink with friends, but I'd rather not smoke nicotine. And then people that like smoking cannabis, and they're like, oh, I like smoking cannabis, but it kind of makes me anxious, so, and we also had loose leaf as well. So it was this cool, like little kind of mini, like consult to help like match people to a blend. And yeah, that's kind of how it all really started.
It's really neat. I just got to ask, when you were selling them for 50 cents per cigarette, hopefully you weren't just getting a bunch of quarters the whole time.
We got a fair deal of quarters.
laundry
we
money.
were just like throwing them in a box. We were like not prepared really at all that first time.
Yeah, I got to say shout out to Katya and Rin. They actually did the first HerbRally podcast episode, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. I don't know if you knew that, Lian, or not, but Herbstock was where I actually met them finally in person. And that's a fabulous event. I don't believe it's happening anymore. I think Steph is focusing on other projects now, but that was an awesome event. So Sterling Smokes to Puff Herbals. Are you still in partnership with that your previous business partner, or are they no longer part of it?
We did that first market, and then we did the following wintergreen market. So like the main Herbstock event is in June, and then they had a wintergreen it was like a much smaller event on Small Business Saturday in November. So we did the next two. But we weren't really like kind of building a business otherwise. We were just kind of doing the markets. And I was also actually in school. We were both working full time, and I was doing a master's program at the same time. So it was, I just like didn't really have time to cultivate it into anything at that point. And then when I was finishing my master's program, I had to do this like huge paper, and I just like had no time for anything. I just had to finish that paper. And so when I wrapped that up, she had moved out and we just kind of went our separate ways. And then once I finished the program, I was like, okay, I've been working. I'm just going to take the summer off and just enjoy doing nothing. And then the summer ended, and I was just kind of like itching for something, like I like having like a big project kind of in my life that it like builds cumulatively, and
absolutely.
Yeah. And so I was like, there was really something there, and I really liked it. And so I decided to start it and like, really make it like legitimate. And yeah, originally I called it Puff Herbal Smokes. And then like a year and a half ago, I did like a brand refresh and took smokes out of the name.
Yeah. Because you kind of want it to be like, say, a lifestyle brand as opposed to just centered around the smoking. I was going to ask you, what is the mission of Puff Herbals in general?
Yeah, the mission is to advocate herbalism for smokers of all plants. And so, whether that is providing a nicotine free or a cannabis free alternative, or educating smokers about herbalism and healthy habits, that is really kind of the mission of Puff Herbals. And I have yet to launch an online course, but that is in the works to kind of focus more or branch out to the education aspect.